Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. Way over in his house over there, that's Eric Morgret.
Hello.
Way over at Outpost 31, that's Vanessa Williams.
Hello.
I'm Kelly Young, recording in my house. We are self-distancing as we all should be. Wow, you guys. How you doing? This is weird, right?
Yeah, it's still weird.
Yeah, it's still really bizarre.
I'm okay with this not starting to become normal feeling and always feeling a little weird.
You know, it's already starting to feel kind of normal because when you start seeing people together, we're noticing that that's not normal. You're like, don't do that. What are you guys all standing so close to each other for?
Yeah. And I'm in this really exciting situation where, because I'm out on Anderson Island and it's mostly like a retired community, you get these tiny little groupings of very old people. So when I go out for my daily run, they just like huddle up together and like run across the street and just stare at you like the whole time, like just very like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
They give you the Donald Sutherland look.
They do. They look so unhappy. Like I'm like, I can't get any physically further away from you. We're a good 25 feet away from each other, and they're still like.
My tastes lie in a macabre direction.
No.
A lot of people have been watching things like Outbreak or what were some of the other virus films? I mean, we've talked about it last. Yeah, Contagion. And but instead of that, I decided. Now, you guys, listeners, friends, we're doing this through Zoom meetings now these days, and so you can expect to hear some sound noises, issues and stuff like that.
Especially since Vanessa's way up in the Arctic.
Yes,
right.
It's true. I'm thousands of miles away from you guys.
There's God.
Penguins here, maybe. I can't remember which pole has penguins.
Well, instead of watching those kind of movies and stuff, I went even weirder and darker, and I went on a reread of some old comic books. I went through the Deceased, which was spelled DC. So Deceased, which was all the superheroes in a kind of weird rage outbreak. That one really held up very well. I went back to Punisher versus the Marvel Universe, which is a really, really good dark comic book that starts off with Spider-Man and the Rhino fighting, and Spider-Man beating the Rhino in like a ice hockey rink or something, and then tearing his throat out with his teeth. And then even worse, I read our buddy Clay McLeod Chapman's his comic book Lazaretto, which is about a college campus that has been infected with something that's very similar to COVID-19, except that they quarantine this building, and all the kids basically go Lord of the Flies and start, the higher up in the levels of this building you get are where the kids with the food and all of this stuff have, it was very, very uncomfortable, very well written. So that's what I was doing.
Half of that.
What was that?
See when I return to it. Clay McLeod's or Chapman, whatever you want to say. I got all his names in there, just not at once.
Right.
But that's grim.
It is super grim. And the art starts off really nice, and then as the story starts falling apart, the art starts falling apart, becomes very jagged and everything. It's just a really nice package, but it is a very, very grim story.
Yes.
Interesting. It sounds fantastic. Like, I feel like I've gone the opposite direction, probably unintentionally. But last night, for the first time, I watched Frozen 2.
Oh,
Nice.
I should point out, I've only seen one half of Frozen 1. So a few spoilers in there. Yeah, I promised my mom because it was a holiday of some recent kind. I know we're not coming out on the day that we're coming out on, but yeah, for Easter, I promised her, because she sat through my movie that is picked for today, so I kind of owed her. So we watched Frozen 2.
Sure, blame it on your mother.
No, I 100% have to, because it's not, there's so much singing. It's unreal. They need to stop singing so much. I mean, just 2/3 of the songs, fine, but it's too much. It hurts.
oh, wow.
Story is fine, except for I hate the snowman. Have you guys seen any of
Really,
this stuff?
Olaf?
I hate him. I
Ah,
hate him so much.
I liked him in the first one. I haven't seen the second one, so.
I mean, I think there's just something about him that grates on me. I just want him to freaking melt. And I'm like, there's a big moment of uh-oh, what's going to go on with Olaf in the movie? And I'm like, don't just let him go. Let him go. It's fine, as the song suggests.
Are you watching this on Disney Plus?
Yes, yeah, I checked it out on Disney Plus. I also didn't realize that Onward, I haven't seen it yet, but Onward is available on Disney Plus. So instead of paying $20 via Amazon to watch it, you can watch it for free.
Right.
Nice.
I don't know. And Eric, I know you have Disney Plus as well, right?
Yes.
There is a short film under the Pixar logo there called Kit Bowl. Have you seen it?
Oh my God.
Is
Yes.
that, give me a breakdown of the beginning of that. I think I have that.
Cat
a stray cat. That's,
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
Had
man.
tears at the end. Jesus.
Yes. It's-
Oh, it's so intense.
Pixar does that better than damn near anybody. They're
Yeah.
make you cry movies. Still haven't watched Toy Story 4, but I expect
It was good.
that will happen.
It was good. Yeah, it was definitely good. It felt like, even though it's a totally unnecessary film, it still felt very good. So definitely recommend it.
So I will curve us back towards our general audience listeners. I don't know if you've watched, I've only seen the first episode so far, but Amazon's got this new, or Shudder has this new series called Cursed Movies.
No.
Have you watched any of those yet?
Yeah.
Huh.
I have to say, okay, The Exorcist honestly there's not, for me, you got to kind of stretch that one to find the curses. And they stretched that one as far as you could, and then had to fill in only half an hour with real weird wandering stories.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Poltergeist has a lot more cursed legends, so I have a little bit of hope for that one. Is it better?
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, okay. You've only seen The Exorcist one.
I wasn't sure if I was going to even continue after that lackluster Exorcist episode.
Which is silly, because I would have thought there'd be all kinds of lore and interesting stuff to talk about, but not.
Oh, there is. But if you're any kind of horror fan, you know it all.
You already know it. What about I would probably enjoy an Omen episode.
That's
for
the
sure.
third one, is the only.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That might be good, because there's so much that happens. Even the documentaries I have seen, it feels like they're almost pushing everything in. So I definitely wouldn't hate to see some more of that.
Yeah, and there's some good stories, like the convicted killer that made it into The Exorcist, but that's not a curse. That's just a curiosity.
Yeah.
I want to at least twist it to make it sound. Whoa!
I felt like
all these
title-
old actors died while the movie was being made, or shortly after. It's like, well, yeah.
I felt like
old.
the
It's
title
fine.
promises something that the show does not deliver.
Yes.
Um,
I think at least 3 times in the short half hour, Dina's like, are they still talking about The Exorcist? I think. So,
yeah.
I have hope. We're horror nerds. I'll watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Although I've heard that Joe Bob's coming back in near the end of the month or something. He's going to start back up his two movie rounds.
I haven't seen, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think that's coming up pretty soon. So that's something to look forward to. Is there a cat?
Okay.
There is a
Anyways.
cat.
Yes. You can, you
I
can hear it.
heard-
Right.
I could hear a kid.
Normally we have
geese.
seagulls. Tonight we have a cat.
And I have a cat.
Last time we had a bird.
Come here, buddy.
Yes.
Oh,
Baby.
Say hello, Riley.
Kitty. Oh, hello.
now
Oh,
is he named
God.
after Buffy's boyfriend?
Wow. I think you were probably the first
That's
person
a-
to ever get that. But yes.
Fucking nerd.
Really? Are you serious?
you're- Yep.
I was
Oh
joking.
my god.
One of the
Did your-
most
Did your wife?
bizarrely hated characters in the Buffyverse.
Which is weird because he was a really nice guy.
Yeah. I mean, if
Yeah.
you really break it, deep cut nerd version here, if you really break down Buffy's relationships with different people through the years, if she
Yeah.
ended up with him, she probably would have been better off.
Oh, way better off. Yeah, like I mean, Angel was never going to work out. Like Spike apparently ends up just sexually assaulting her at some
Yeah.
stage. That was
He
useful.
did try to rape her at one point, and
Yeah, good job, writers.
like
that.
and there's still a huge group of things that Buffy and Spike are the best couples. Like, no, they're not.
Yeah, it's hard because they built him up as such a like sex symbol, and then when they did that, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of fucked up.
But he's a great character. There's no doubt. Spike's a
Yeah.
hell of a character.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Hey, you guys, speaking of vampires, I revisited an old, not so classic, Fright Night 2.
Whoa, I have not seen this.
Eric, I know you've seen it, and you probably had the same reaction I had when I first saw it.
When I saw it, the decade probably had an 8 in front of it. So
Yes.
as part of it. So I have not seen it in 20 plus years at least.
Neither had I. It came out in 1988, and I decided I was going to give it a chance again because why not? What the fuck else are we doing?
why not?
And when I saw that it was directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, who did Halloween 3, who, you know, I fucking love that movie, I was like, oh shit, I need to give this another chance. And you guys, I fucking loved it.
Did you?
Which,
Go ahead.
well, which is not to say that it's a great movie.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Did you actually like it, realizing, wow, we was totally wrong about this film, or go, well, this is entertaining?
Well, I'll tell you this much. I thought it was very entertaining, and I did genuinely like it. It is not as good as the original by any means, but it does have William Ragsdale and Roddy McDowall back in it.
Ooh.
And the premise this time is that Jerry Dandridge, who was the vampire in the first one that they killed, his sister comes looking for revenge. And his sister is played by the lead female in the Mouth of Madness, Vanessa.
Oh, cool. She's
And-
great.
I'll tell you, for whatever reason, in the Mouth of Madness, she just never did anything physically for me, even though that's like my type of woman, big eyes and dark hair and all that stuff. That's what I go for. But I've never thought she was attractive. In this, she is so smoking hot. I don't know what the difference is. It's the fact that she's like an evil vampire, I guess,
There you
because
go.
she's just acting super sexy. And I was like, what is wrong with me that I didn't realize how beautiful this woman is?
Yeah, I don't know what is wrong with you because I think she's gorgeous in Mouth of Madness. So I'm glad you've just come to your senses,
I
sir.
finally came to my senses.
She's a beautiful woman.
And she makes perfect sense as Jerry Dandridge's sister also. I
Mhm.
mean, those two
Sure.
super attractive people should be related. And its failing is that they decided that what made the first movie so great was this story, and so for the second one we need to follow that story but amp everything up a little bit more, and so it's almost all the same scenes as the first movie, only, you know, jammed up to 11. That being said, it was really, really fun to watch. It was shot on film, and there's something about those late 80s horror movies that have a budget, that are shot on film. The colors just look great. You know, Roddy McDowall is just such a pleasure to watch all the time. And this time he's the person who is trying to convince, I can't remember, Charlie, that somebody is a vampire. And, you know, so that's kind of switched and all this stuff. It's I don't know. I just thought it was a blast. Now, I think like Rotten Tomatoes had it at like 29% or something. But I think that's a little harsh. I had an awful lot of fun with it.
And it has one of the best movie posters, like vampire movie posters ever done, man. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Cat,
I
what are
love
you
it.
doing? Cat's chewing on metal.
Oh.
Please stop that.
It's delicious.
It'll be
That doesn't
fine.
seem
Don't
good
worry,
for
they're
a cat.
Well, I checked out, and I don't know if either of you were planning on talking about this, so stop me if you are. But I watched the first episode of The Loop on Amazon.
I watched that too. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it, Kelly.
Did you
Let
like
me
it?
just sit back here and listen to you guys. Will it be an agreement or will it be not?
I fucking hated it. I hated it.
Thank God.
Oh, good.
Thank God.
Oh my God. It was weird because it has like all the right elements. It has everything I should love. It's got like cool setting, cool robot, good actors, but the whole way through.
Continue.
But the whole way through, it just felt like such a construct, and it just felt like just so fake and so shitty. And I felt like I was just being forced into this like peg. It was just a horrible feeling.
While I was watching it, I thought, this has to have been written by a 16-year-old who doesn't realize that all of this stuff, everybody who likes this kind of thing, we've seen that a million times by now.
Right.
It was like a very, very basic Twilight Zone story.
True. Yes. And like, yeah, nothing was shocking. And I was like, why? Like yelling at the screen. We know what's going on. Just,
Why
like,
are you pretending this is a twist?
I know. This is 0% a twist at this point. I figured this out like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, and that's. Are you familiar with the paintings that this is based on?
Very much so. Yeah. I mean, I love his work.
Yeah, and they were so popular that they spawned a RPG in multiple different languages, and this thing somehow failed to capture the magic of his paintings.
Jeez.
It felt like it was stealing. It was like relying on something instead of taking the world and breaking it open and exploring all the different avenues that you could go in his. It just did not work. I was really mad that they had that cool robot and then they didn't even use it. Really? I don't know.
That was the real thing, was that it felt like it was an episode of this new version of the Twilight Zone, which is very bad and telegraphs everything. But also, let's throw a cool robot in the background just so everybody goes, I wonder what that's going to do later on. The answer is nothing. That robot does not come back in any way. It's just standing there.
Yep. It's just, and it totally could have led to that, into that story. There's like a really good moment where it super could have telegraphed some information and it just didn't at all. And so I don't know. I feel like I need to watch more episodes, but I really don't want to.
Yeah. I bailed on it after episode 1. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so bad. I was so mad. Like when it finished, I was just livid. I was like, I sat through that. I sat all the way through that. I am so fucking pissed. And then and to make it worse, I'm almost at the end of devs. There's one more episode tomorrow. And that'll be the end of the season or series or whatever. And it is so good that I'm like even more angry because I'm like, you have the money, you have the talent and the time. There's nothing stopping you. Just, ugh.
I read a weird review about that was, I think, praise. But it was talking about how it's like a new kind of story where it's not about the storyline itself, but the emotional feeling the movie creates within you as you watch it. This sounds like a failure.
Yeah, fuck that guy. No, he's talking about.
No, the show you guys were just talking about.
Gotcha, sure. No, that's too generous. I don't know what. No, it's written by like a 2-year-old. It's a stupid plot. That's all you can't give it some kind of intelligence or majesty. It straight up doesn't deserve. I'm still so mad.
Jeez, I can tell.
Okay.
I'm so pleased though that you are too, because I was like, boy, I don't want to fight with Vanessa. Now when her connection is this bad and she can't hear all my insults.
It's true. Maybe this is the perfect time to fight.
Now, I was more, I'll go just quick list because there's no reason to talk about these films because they're huge. But did sort of a comfort food / introduce my wife to a film this week. Or watch The Rock, the Bruckheimer.
Oh,
Awesome Rock. Still so much fun. Such cheesy, awesome action.
Did you spill the same blood in the same mud with her?
Yes, that's right. With green flares. And another great comfort film, Ocean's 11, the Brad Pitt, George Clooney version, which is just fun. And introduced her because she had never seen Groundhog's Day.
Oh, wow.
oh my gosh.
Luckily, she liked it. Like, yay.
Oh,
Although the polka song, like the 19th or 20th time you hear it, it's kind of like, stop playing that.
I have not seen that movie in such a long time, but I do remember it irritating me a lot, like some of that stuff. I would love to rewatch it, though, because I have come into a great appreciation of Bill Murray.
Oh, he's the whole reason the movie works.
Yeah.
Is him, obviously. It's without him, it's just nothing going on.
Just a hedgehog. Wait, groundhog.
Yes, don't drive angry.
And what else?
Those ones and,
Oh, okay.
that stuff.
Okay. Well, why don't we take a little break, guys? And then we will come back. And Vanessa, we were talking about your pick of miniseries this episode. So I can't wait to dig in and see what everybody had to see and say and do.
Awesome.
All right. We'll be right back.
Dr. Jonathan Chase. Wealthy, young, handsome. A man with the brightest of futures. A man with the darkest of pasts. From Africa's deepest recesses to the rarefied peaks of Tibet. Heir to his father's legacy and the world's darkest mysteries.
My son, you must have faith and learn. This is not the end. This is the beginning.
Jonathan Chase, master of the secrets that divide man from animal. Animal from man. Manimal.
Go for it.
And we're back after some major technical difficulties. So this might sound very different to you than how we were going before this. Who knows?
It's hard to know.
Danny Williford had posted a little thing about, hey, so what happened at the end of that one episode where the sound went so crazy? And I was like, oh, geez, I don't know. I don't know how this shit works.
Is that, yeah, I had somebody say that to me too. Was that like
That
when
was
we
the
had
one
it die?
Where the iPad filled up. Its memory got
that's
filled and it turned off. And luckily it already turned on that going, this seems bad.
Yeah.
So I had that backup. Of course, I've now totally cleared it. Got plenty of room. But we don't need it.
Right.
We're not in that situation currently. So,
Right. But
yeah.
we will be again soon, you guys. Hey, Vanessa, you chose our subgenre for this episode, and it is miniseries. And
Yes,
so
I did.
At first I thought, what the hell? And then I thought, oh man, there's so many cool ones. And then I, of course, went nuts and got one that was like impossible. But I want to hear what yours is first, because that's how the game goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I chose miniseries because we're all in quarantine right now. We need stuff to do and to keep us occupied. And I don't know, we just have a lot of time on our hands. So I felt like this would be the perfect opportunity to dig in something that's maybe a little bit longer. I went with a personal favorite, Atomic Train.
Eastbound 642. I am out of control. I have flammable chemicals and hazardous materials on board. I am out of control.
NBC Studios proudly presents two-time Golden Globe nominee Rob Lowe
Bring us down!
in the heart-pounding high-speed adventure
Down!
Atomic Train.
Who is this cowboy chasing us? John Seeger. investigates train wrecks. We ain't a train wreck yet.
But the runaway train destined for Denver is hiding a deadly secret.
That train on TV is carrying a nuclear weapon in one of the boxcars. A Russian-made nuclear weapon.
All right, I think I found it. Who the hell put a nuclear bomb on my train?
Now, as the atomic train hits lethal velocity,
I want to flood manpower and containment equipment into the area as soon as possible. If that missile goes, we're all going with it.
the president turns to one man to work a miracle.
We're going to give Mr. Seeger there a chance to stop that train.
But how do you stop an atomic train racing toward millions of innocent people? Would you destroy it?
Have radar lock, advise.
If you fire a missile at that train, the chances are you will have a nuclear disaster.
Would you derail it?
The atomic train is gaining speed.
Derailment is not an option.
Oh, my God.
Or would you risk your life to stop it?
I'm going to try to knock the electrical out. Now! Now!
But when the unexpected happens,
No! No! Oh, my God, they're stopping!
there's only one chance left to stop a nuclear disaster. Now, with time running out to disarm the bomb, the world holds its breath.
There they are!
Daddy!
And the unthinkable happens.
Oh, God, have mercy.
NBC Studios, in association with Dennis Hammer Productions, brings to the screen its biggest miniseries event ever. An earth-shattering motion picture experience, bringing to life the heroism of ordinary people facing an extraordinary catastrophe, where an atomic blast can tear a city apart.
Where are they?
Come on, we don't have time!
But never destroy the love that holds a family together.
Dad!
Starring Rob Lowe, Kristen Davis, and Esai Morales. The future of the world on a collision course with the atomic train.
Atomic train.
I can't see it, but it's here. It's an NBC special with Rob Lowe, Kristen Davis, and Esai Morales. Came out in 1999. I actually saw this for the first time when I was in Dublin. I was out there with my mom, actually not in Dublin, I'm sorry, in Blarney. We were going through Ireland together, and we got to Blarney and it was Sunday, and we didn't know, but everything in Ireland shuts on Sundays apparently, or at least in small towns. And it was raining, so we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't do anything. We put on the TV, and lo and behold was this movie, this magical movie called Atomic Train. And on that day, my love of the Atomic Train began. So I was very happy to be able to find a copy on DVD and watch it. This took place over 2 nights, so it was a 2-night special. It was a whopping 2 hours and 48 minutes long, which for us now, post 1999, seems like a really short film.
Could be, a regular film.
Yeah, totally normal length.
Almost an hour shorter than the Avengers.
Oh my God, that's so true. Didn't Hateful Eight have like a middle as well, like an intermission? Mm-hmm. It's so normal now for us to go over 3 hours. But at that moment, I think that this really felt like quite a beast. So let's talk a little bit about this. There's no budget listing that I can find. Almost no any kind of production anything I can find. So I think that's pretty normal, I guess, for
TV shows. It's less common, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it. I was really hoping someone would say something about this because it's insane, but that's okay. The Rotten Tomatoes is 32% audience, no critic response. So
interesting.
That'll happen.
You know, I think people it was before its time. That's all.
Y'all were just dumb. This is
exactly. People didn't know back then the amazingness they had before them. It's directed by David Jackson, who did a lot of TV movies. He was really a TV director. He did like 72 titles, including things, a lot of Miami Vice, 21 Jump Street. He did original Swamp Thing, One Tree Hill. Now the last 6 things he's done are all Hallmark movies.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
How the mighty have fallen.
Right? I mean, Canada does provide. And then it's written by it's also co-directed by Dick Lowry, who does a lot of TV stuff too. He did 63 Things, but he also did Smokey and the Bandit. He was a second unit director on Piranha, and he did a TV movie I really want to hunt down called Y2K. That sounds kind of glorious. And then it had 5 writers on it, most of whom doesn't matter. But one guy, Brent Mote, did a lot of Warehouse 13, so that was kind of cool. And Rob Fresco, who's written on the recent Swamp Thing and Ash and the Evil Dead. He's apparently a halfway decent writer. The cast, beautiful cast. We've got Rob Lowe as John Seeger. He's our hero. You'll find out why shortly. Kristen Davis.
I could tell from the name.
Right? Oh, Seeger. Beautiful. John, strong saving name. Kristen Davis, who she plays Megan Seeger, his wife. You might remember her as Charlotte in Sex and the City.
Right. And
that's all I know her from.
Well, also in her starring role in Doom Asylum, which we've spoken of.
Sure. I have not seen this, so that is my own fault. I am mistaken in my knowledge of her. S.A. Morales, who plays kind of like the wife's ex-husband and the father of one of the 2 kids. He has done a ton of TV and 66 episodes of NYPD Blue. So that's exciting.
And was Richie's brother in La Bamba.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's pretty exciting. Oh, he was young Adama on Caprica.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah. That was I was like, ooh, I know that one. I haven't seen a lot of NYPD Blue, but man, I could talk to you about some Caprica. And then the big hit name at the time that was a heavy hitter, which is Nina Savari. Thank you, Savari. I cannot which you guys will know her from American Beauty, American Pie. Both came out the same year as this. Beauty.
Wow. She had a strong run there for a couple of years.
Yeah,
she had a window, didn't she?
Yeah.
This was like a big moment for her, and I think that her premiering in this giant NBC piece was a big deal. She plays Rob Lowe's daughter, so you've kind of got these 2 parents. They've got 2 kids from other marriages. You know, of course, there's crazy family dynamics. Everyone hates everyone else except for Rob Lowe's the perfect father and the perfect everything, so he's fine. The basic plot of this. Oh, one other name I want to mention. Edward Herrmann, who we know from Lost Boys as Max. And I love this man so much. Gilmore Girls, Richard Gilmore. He plays the president. He gets no name, just the president. So very happy with that. So the plot is a train carrying an old Russian atomic bomb threatens to destroy Denver.
That damn train. Sorry.
Damn train. I mean, it's an interesting setting. Being like, okay, Denver, sure, all right, why not? Seems very plausible somehow. John Seeger is a parent who, like, you know, he's got the family drama at the beginning, but then he's a specialist in train wrecks. So this train, the first thing that happens is like the brakes stop working. So it's just like doing its thing. And he's called in to help somehow. So they put him on a helicopter and drop him down to a train that's following the other train to try and latch onto and save the main train. So he has to, oh my God. So he has to jump off and like start crawling around on the first train and then try to hook up the trains to the trains with these weird like interlocking pieces, and like they're, you know, coming back and forth, and it just isn't working. And so he jumps off of one train onto the other train so he can continue to help be specialist.
As you do.
As you do. Rob Lowe then continues for 2 hours and 48 minutes to help figure out this situation. And of course, eventually they do figure out, they don't realize initially, but they do figure out that they're carrying this cargo of this like really old decommissioned Russian nuke, which some like skeezy guy got as a shipment on there and, you know, labeled it as something else, like just normal flammable good. So when they figure that out, then they can't derail the train, because if they derail the train, it may explode and nuke Denver, which you don't want. So
I'm not sure that's how nuclear bombs work.
You know what?
Made for
Science
TV
is
movies.
not a strong point.
I'm just saying, I don't think that you rattle them around and they have a more likely chance of exploding.
Sure, yes. And I do think we get this addressed.
Okay.
So Rob Lowe then, so he's done the helicopter, he jumps onto the other train, he hangs upside down beneath one of the messed up train to try and like hook cables back together to try and get the brakes to work again. He crowbars open a door, hangs off the side of the train, almost falls off like 5 times. He has to go and find the train car with the nuke in it. He gets electrocuted. He jumps off the train as well, finally, when things are just not working out at one point. And
see you later, sucker!
He also has to wear a heat suit at one point to try and disarm the bomb. So he just, and it's great too, because there's this news crew just like following him around from a helicopter being like, the atomic train is happening. Who is this man? And they just keep mentioning him. They're like, John Seeger is jumping from one thing to the next. And you're like, oh my God. Even the people in the movie know how insane this is. So I will say, like, there's a lot of action that's kind of happening where you're just, it does a very good job of pulling you through the story by giving you all these moments of stress and anxiety. And it does actually feel pretty fun just to watch him kind of go through these different problems that arise. And they also balance it out by having a lot of other side stories. So there's a cop who has a pregnant wife. There's the train driver and his like young guy assistant, and you're always worried that like one of them's gonna die. There's the news lady in the helicopter and her like people. There's the base, the train operation base and their team. There's the president and his people. There's the other train driver who's on his own. And there are there's a lot of people. And then that's not even the family. So then you've also got main guy, his wife, her little thing, and the 2 kids and their like stories of where they're at and how they're doing things. They fit in a lot of freaking plot into this time period. It definitely feels very made for TV movie. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of like, you can tell there's commercial breaks and stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
come back after the break to see what happens next. I have to say, my favorite part about this film, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, guys, so I am sorry, but it's not the end of it. But I love that in this, the bomb goes off.
Ooh.
They freaking explode a nuclear bomb in Denver. They just go for it. I'm like, that pregnant lady's gonna have a baby with like 100 limbs. It's just like the tension rises so high. Like they do end up derailing the train. It falls over, like the bombs in, as you thought, Kelly, it does roll off but survives. But then the problem is there's a bunch of chemicals that were in the same train car as it, and the heat is just so hot that they're trying to like put it out while also disarming the bomb. But then these guys who are like young, helpful men, like with a helicopter, go and get like a bucket of water to like dump on the site. chemicals and water. Anyway, it's fine.
Wow.
And then there's just like a nice, like really bad CGI explosion. It's so beautiful. Like the special effects in this movie are definitely its weakest part. Like, there's a lot of like literally just filming a fire, cutting out a nuclear like bomb and just putting it over Denver. Like, oh, okay, that's real special. The opening 5 minutes will make you not want to watch it at all because the special effects they do there are so bad. They have a mix of like, every time they want the train to seem like insane, they just speed up the footage. So, yeah.
It's going really fast now.
Really fast.
Tried and true method.
It doesn't, I don't know if it's supposed to work or not. For me, it was awful. It was just a horrible thing. And then, you know, like just little, they do the whole like miniatures thing, but it looks real bad. Like the tracks are like clearly just miniature tracks and they just go straight up. And there's like little things kind of, it's real bad. But, you know, bravo to them for trying.
You started off making it sound really great. Now it's like...
No, I mean, this is only in the first 5 minutes. Don't worry about that. The rest is great. So if you can make it past these first 5 minutes, the train being sped up will continue, but the rest gets a little better. The positives about this thing, like I said, is action-packed. It will bring you from beginning to end with a lot of, I don't know, like engagement, and I feel like it's well-paced. The characters are pretty fun, except for the daughter who's always screaming after her boyfriend, who's like got the long 90s hair split in the middle. It's curtains like galore. I don't know what that guy's face looks like at all. Rob Lowe can live forever. That's fun. Reckless endangerment of anyone else who isn't the main characters. So like they'll just jump in a car, like characters will jump in a car and just drive down the sidewalk with old people like jumping out of the way. They don't give a shit. Zero shits given. I love that the bomb actually does go off. I think that's super important. And just a lot of these sort of, you guys have heard like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That happens a lot in this, and it's really fun to watch because you're like, all these people have like the best intentions and it just goes spectacularly wrong and makes everything worse. Like at the point, every time you think it's going to get better, it gets worse. So I kind of applaud them for that. The things I don't like about it, like I said, that opening 5 minutes, not good. Sped up footage, not good. Bad science everywhere. At one point, they're like, we got to get out of here before the fallout. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Too late.
Yeah, you're irradiated. Like it's happened. They went and it was late, and then you guys like, everything flew past, and now it's bad. Like the fallout is now. It's not getting, the bad thing isn't coming. It's kind of relatable because there's a town just filled with people. The nation is on the edge of their seat with this horrible thing happening. And there's like people like going into shelters and trying to help each other. And at one point, Edward Herman, the president, he makes this really great speech. And you're like, why don't we have that? I want this pandemic. I want this version of hell, not the one we're in. And like my mom, even at one point, she looked at me and she's like, this is like what we're going through. I was like, I'm sorry. But it's fun, and it is a great way to kind of like let off some steam. So overall, I would definitely recommend it. I found it online via purchasing like a really crappy DVD copy. I don't know if there's other ways of getting a hold of it.
Well, I looked on Amazon, and it's going for $60 for the DVD on Amazon.
Wow.
So,
got yourself a collector's item.
I also looked at that cover that they've got, which is super, super cheesy. It's not nearly as cool as the cover you've got.
Yes.
And then finally, I looked at this 5-star review from David, a very happy customer, who says, "It was a great movie. I'm a train model man, so I love it so bad." Hold on.
Okay.
It was a great, one word, a great movie. I'm, no apostrophe, a train model, MODLE, and so I love it so bad. Not so much. Not even so good, which would be bad grammar, but would at least convey the right feeling. He loved it so bad.
It's so bad, Dad. You're just behind in the vernacular of the kids.
So I just want everyone to know that this is the kind of person, along with you, Vanessa, who loved this movie.
I mean, it's disaster, so of course I was going to love it. It didn't take much, but, I wonder if that's like the person who's trying to sell it for $65 in like Taiwan and in a basement somewhere being like, this will get them.
Right.
Train modelers, that's who want this.
Right.
I know the market. He's not wrong. If you love train models, you'll probably enjoy this film.
Wow, no listing at all in the Just Watch app. Doesn't list at all, other than it links to the Amazon DVD, but no streaming services.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
So it's probably on YouTube somewhere.
I would think so. You know what? I think you're right. I think it might be on YouTube somewhere. But if you come across it, don't be afraid of it. It's definitely a fun watch.
Nice.
Excellent. Nice choice. Eric?
Sure. We're going to keep going with the end of the world scenarios here.
Yay!
I went with a made-for-UK TV movie from 2008 called Dead Set.
37 minutes to go.
I heard we might get bumped for the news.
Not unless this really is the end of the world.
This live broadcast
People of the house, this is Davina.
is about to go
What's going on up?
dead.
Eyewitnesses describe dead or injured people apparently attacking one another.
Something is wrong! What?
The cameras ain't moving. Big Brother ain't watching us.
Trust me, outside, it's a bad idea.
How bad?
We are trapped in here.
Something's happening. Some sort of outbreak. For all we know, all there is.
They eat flesh.
Don't talk to me about surviving until you have. In the head. You gotta get him in the head.
Dead Set, an epic 5-part series that will blow your mind.
As long as we're still breathing, we're smarter than them. That's why we're gonna beat them.
Dead Set starts Monday, October 25th at midnight, only on IFC. Always on, slightly off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is readily available on Netflix, so that'll help. The ratings, Rotten Tomato ratings, are 92 critics, 80 audience. So it's
that's
fairly
very
well
positive.
liked.
Yeah.
When you mentioned this was immediately what I wanted to do. I didn't deviate from it either. I was like, I'm talking about this one. I had not seen it since I originally watched it, and it hit the U.S. on IFC in 2010. I remember watching it on the IFC channel then going, what is this? It's directed by, hey, I got a name here. I haven't had one for a while.
Oh, boy.
Jan Diamant. I'm guessing. I'm going to go with that. All episodes. He is a director on the upcoming Lovecraft Country.
Oh, interesting.
And he also directed Secret Diary of a Call Girl.
Oh, that's meant to be very good.
So, talent. Written by Charlie Brooker, who's the writer of most of the Black Mirrors and lots of British TV.
Wow, I didn't realize it was him. Cool.
Yeah, so, and it stars Jimmy Winston, best known for Tomb Raider and the amusingly named, but not great movie, Donkey Punch.
Oh, boy.
So, he's an actor. You can't hold those kind of movies against him too much. Liz May Bryce, who's obviously a regular with the BBC. She's been in Torchwood and Black Mirror and Hustle, which is a really underrated con game TV show. The Lego Hobbit video game. So,
Ooh.
Beth Cordingley from Merlin, Adam Dakeen from Babylon and Being Human, Riz Ahmed from Four Lions, Nightcrawler. He played Riot in Venom. So these are all
really
fairly accomplished people making this miniseries. It does also fall into the same problem Atomic Train does. Like, yes, it's a 5-episode miniseries comprising 2 hours and 40 minutes. Whoa. The first episode is about 45 minutes, and all the rest are 20 to 26 minutes long.
Wow.
So it's strangely broken down because it doesn't play. Well, BBC's structure is a little different than American-made television, so it doesn't play like, oh, here's where a commercial was. It plays like a movie almost, but just broken up into episodes. Let's see. I think I know Kelly's answer to this, but I don't know Vanessa's. Are you familiar with the concept of the way Big Brother works?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is Big Brother in the UK when a zombie outbreak happens.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a group of these actors or reality stars trapped in a house cut off from the rest of the world. So they don't know what's going on at all. It's eviction night at the Big Brother house in episode 1. So tensions are high and everybody's ready to see who's going to get kicked off the show. It's got, if you've ever watched any of these reality shows, it's got the dipshit guy, the creepy older guy that's in the show for some reason, and the horny people, they nail the cliches of a reality show group. Although it's from 2008, so Big Brother is different then. It's basically just people living in the house. They're not doing any of the contests and stuff they do now. And then behind the scenes, people get involved. The biggest asshole of the movie is the producer of the film. And then the hero is his assistant or something. So when it breaks out, these are fast zombies. There is a lot of, this was made 4 years after the Dawn of the Dead remake. There's a lot of that in this film. The way the zombies group and they're running, and it feels a lot like that, which is not a bad thing. It's pretty violent. It's really gross. The asshole guy gets probably what might be the dumbest idea in the history of zombie movies, where it's like, okay, we need to distract the zombies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dead body of this guy who was killed earlier, and I'm going to chop him up and throw it like chum to the zombies. So, of course, nobody believes it's going to work at all, and it doesn't. It's one thing I love that it totally bypasses, that so many of the zombie movies do. Most of the characters immediately know what's going on. There's no, what are these things? How do we kill them? How do we stop them? It's immediately, oh, kill the head. So it's like, thank you. It suffers a little bit from the shaky cam, not done real well in some of the action scenes. The movie as a whole isn't full of it. It's not like The Shield where there's a lot of movement done really well. But when there's heavy action scenes, there's a lot of movement. It's like, Transformers. Watch this with Dean and shit. That lead, the creepy old guy, kind of looks like Dean Stockwell fell out of a tree onto his face.
Ouch.
She's right. Oh my God, it does. Let's see, what else? I don't know who set this up for Netflix, but it looks a little rough. It's oddly dark. It looks like it was improperly bleached, like a color correction bleach process. So when they're outside in the bright and somebody gets sun on them, they're really bright. And then in the dark, when they're dark, it's like they're really dark. It almost looks like somebody wanted to look like it was shot on film, but didn't quite know how to do it right. So it ends up looking, instead of the blacks looking black, they look a little muddy. And the whites look just off. So that was a little frustrating.
Do you feel like this is specific to the Netflix version of this, or?
I don't remember it bugging me that much when I watched it originally, but so it just looks like it was thrown up, as opposed to other films we've talked about in the past where it's like, wow, they did a great job remastering it before they put it out for streaming. I don't think they.
I mean, I don't know. I would totally believe that it looks like shit. Just from having lived in the UK, a lot of their TV stuff is so low budget, and just they don't necessarily have people who know what they're doing. Like, it might be some dude's nephew who they're like, hey, why don't you go ahead and run the camera there? It's your turn, sports. Like it's. Yes. I totally can see that it might have really bad production value, but really strong writing and acting, because I feel like that's a very British thing.
It does have that. Yeah. couple notes on it. It was filmed in, aspects of it were filmed in the real Big Brother house in Britain.
Amazing.
Season 10 is about the time, I guess, it was going on. It features several Big Brother people from the British. So, it's like, they're just extras to me. I don't know who these guys are. They even use parts of the reunion crowd that was out there standing to watch the real Big Brother for the film. They shot that as part of the movie. And there's a part where somebody does the thing where, if you've ever watched the show, they open up the door to reveal who got kicked off, and the crowd goes, "Ah!" They used that for one of the people. It's like, nice. You're right. You're talking about low budget. They were so low budget that to do a lot of the zombies, they just had extras switch clothing because the contacts they used were so expensive. They couldn't buy enough of them. So it's like,
oh, that's bad.
In that reunion thing, when they shot the crowd, they actually put crew members in the crowd to scream and scare people in real time, unbeknownst to them, and shoot the reactions live. It's like, I'm kind of loving this.
I don't know if you could do that now, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think so. In 2009, it was nominated for BAFTA's Best Drama Serial.
Wow.
So there's a mixed bag for me watching it again. It's one of those where I almost kind of wished I didn't watch it, because it's not as good as I remember. Although by the end I went, okay, now I remember, because the ending is strong.
Yeah.
The beginning's all right, pretty good. There's some good stuff going on. It's just a little British TV. It gets a little muddled at times. But overall, very enjoyable. Again, though, if you're feeling worried about being quarantined and trapped in your house, might not be the best option right now. But if you're a zombie completist or even like general zombie stuff, this is well worth watching. Really, really good and easily available on Netflix.
That's awesome. This has been something I've wanted to watch for a little while. It's been in my list, hopping around, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So I'm pretty stoked, just off of your review, to watch it through. Big Brother in the UK, when I lived there, like, you know how I think back in the day they used to turn the TV off or not show anything late at night?
Right.
Like, at one point they just switched to just showing the Big Brother house as they're like sleeping.
I wondered about that, because there's a portion in the movie where there's people on the outside. You know, the one lady's boyfriend is trying to get to her at the house.
Yeah.
And him and another lady hole up in a house for a little while, and TV's not working. It's like, oh, the Big Brother live feed's still running. I'm like,
yeah. It basically fills all the programming that they can't fill or don't feel like filling. So it will go on for like 8-12 hours at a time.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and you just watch these people, and it's just a bunch of rooms, and you just watch them go from one place to the other. And if something really interesting is happening, they'll go into one of the cameras, but it's creepy as hell.
Yeah,
so
weird.
Yeah, but people loved it. I mean, I hated it, but people freaking loved it. So
I think I remember, Eric, when this came out, I think you videotaped it for me and gave me the episodes on a VHS, which I had up until I moved into this place and got rid of all my VHS tapes. So yeah, I remember really liking it too. I'm disappointed to hear that it doesn't hold up as well.
I really felt that until I got to the end, and I'm going, oh, all right, I feel a little better now. But so it's one of those things we've talked a lot about. If you end your movie really well,
yeah,
that's what people remember.
Yeah.
So,
well, cool. Okay, so I picked one that's either people are gonna go, oh yeah, or what the hell is this? From 1997, NBC. 2 nights they ran House of Frankenstein.
Welcome to Los Angeles, home to over 7 million people, where everyone enjoys the sunshine and no one goes out at night.
Alive and not alive, human and inhuman.
It wasn't a man, it was an animal.
What kind of animal?
It was a werewolf.
Man's 3 most feared predators have returned.
Vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein, loose in L.A.
Legendary evil has found a new home.
They're
only natural predator is God.
In the city of angels.
I don't think he's human, and he's taking out my city.
To stop them, you'll have to believe in them.
Don't fight what you know, detective, even if it doesn't make any sense.
Do you have any crosses in the house?
Now,
We gotta get out of there. There's somebody coming.
NBC presents a motion picture event of undying proportions. House of Frankenstein. Violent scenes, parental discretion advised.
Oh, excellent.
Could find no budget or box office information.
Sure.
And no Rotten Tomatoes critics or audience, but 91% of Google users like it. Whatever the fuck that
What?
means.
I don't even know where you
Deep for
find
that
that
one.
statistic.
I don't know how they can even say that because there's got to be a gazillion Google users, right? And you're telling me 91% of them like this movie? That seems high. This was directed by Peter Werner, I guess. Do you know him?
I recognize the name, but I don't know why.
I looked it up, and I didn't really recognize anything you'd done. So
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
you're thinking of Werner Herzog.
Oh yeah, that's it. So similar.
It was written by J.B. White, who wrote a ton of TV movies. This was his thing. The one that you might recognize, Eric, was Peter Benchley's The Beast.
Oh sure. Yeah.
Which was also another miniseries. It's got a cool cast, though. It's got Adrian Pasdar, who we know as Caleb from Near Dark. He was also the guy who could fly in the television show Heroes. Mm-hmm. And what I love him most from was a very short-run Fox series called Profit, Profit, which is available on DVD and was way ahead of its time. It also stars Terry Polo. Now, you might not know this name, but if you saw a picture of her, you'd go, oh, yeah, her, because she was in everything. Most famously, she was the wife of Ben Stiller in Meet the Fockers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's just this gorgeous blonde girl with these really striking cheekbones, and she was just in all of these TV series. She was in every sci-fi series that was going on, all this stuff. It also stars Georgia Fox, who was on CSI, and CCH Pounder, who I know Eric appreciates as much as I do. She was on The Shield and Demon Knight, and she's somebody you'd know if you see her. This is a really groovy little two-night event where they revived Universal's big three, the Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein. Only they twisted everything a little bit. So the Wolfman is just a guy who is a werewolf. Dracula is a vampire. He's not Dracula, but he's a very wealthy vampire who owns a nightclub called the House of Frankenstein.
Oh.
And it's kind of a vampire nightclub, although all the humans who are going there don't realize that. And he is searching for the Frankenstein monster, which he is sure is up in the Antarctic, frozen in ice somewhere, and he wants it as the centerpiece of his bar. It's a ridiculous premise.
I don't know. I totally get it. I do that.
So Adrian Pasdar plays a homicide detective who's trying to solve a series of bizarre murders. In the course of the first episode, we see, he meets and falls in love with this Terry Polo girl, and who can blame him? But she has been attacked by someone he's sure was the murderer that he's been searching. But she keeps telling him, no, I was attacked by a large dog. She was scratched by this dog coming out of a party at the Griffith Observatory. Yes. It turns out that the serial killer he's after is this vampire who flies around, and they use monster vision for everything he's doing, and it is the worst fucking effect ever. It's basically... what was that effect, Eric, when you would key something on your video and just...
Oh, the chroma key?
Chroma key, yeah. That's what it is.
Oh, no.
And it just looks awful, which is a shame because when you finally see him in vampire form, he doesn't look like a Buffy vampire or anything. He's glistening black. He looks like a demon. He's got big, huge bat wings and everything. He's actually pretty fucking impressive for a TV show, 1997. he finds Frankenstein's body, or he's got these guys up there who are searching, and they find it, and he brings it back, and it's stopped at customs, of course, and it has a chance to thaw out, and the monster comes back to life because it was never dead, So he's trying to convince the monster, hey, you and I are the same. Of course, he's doing this while he's a hideous bat demon thing, and the monster is terrified of him and all this stuff. And this is one of those things where they really play up the monster's innocence and all of this stuff. So they even have a scene where he has been, the monster, after he has escaped, has been befriended by like a slightly crazy homeless guy who brings him up to this room and makes him some dinner and stuff like that. So it's a very similar scene to the blind man in Frankenstein. And that man gets killed by Dracula. So this gives the Frankenstein monster some reason to want to kill Dracula. Meanwhile, Terry Polo, who has been scratched by a werewolf, the werewolf has tried to stalk her. Adrian Pastar has killed him, but she is, strangely starting to smell things a lot sharper, and she can hear everything, from a mile away and all this stuff. And our Dracula character has decided that he must have her because she's this beautiful creature who's also turning into a beautiful creature. The whole thing is ridiculous, but super, super compelling. So this, I don't know if I wrote down how long it was, but it was only over 2 nights, and it was probably 2 hours each night, knocked down to an hour and a half, without commercials. So about the same as your guys, less than 3 hours, I'm guessing. The monster joins forces with the cop and CCH Pounder, who is this amateur vampire hunter, for lack of a better term. She's trying to convince the cops that, yes, you're not searching for a serial killer, you're searching for a vampire. And I'm like, okay. But Adrian Pastar is willing to listen to her. It's got this ridiculous shit in a broken down amusement park, and all of this vaguely Dark Shadows type stuff with smoke and mist coming through open doors on balconies and all this stuff. Not great. However, I liked it when it came out, and I really liked it this time. I was really surprised at how well it held up. And you can watch this bad boy over 8 parts on YouTube. Somebody has thrown it up in like 10-minute segments or something, 20-minute segments. I don't know what it is, but what's nice is you port the YouTube to your smart TV, you watch it on the big screen, and the way it works is as soon as that first chapter ends, the second chapter just starts automatically. So I watched it as one whole thing. I really appreciate whoever put that up, and I kind of loved it. The vampire effects were great. The werewolf effects were so-so, and the monster effects were pretty good, although I was a little put off by this 8-foot-tall guy with huge stitches and rivets and all this stuff walking through downtown Los Angeles, and everybody was going, well, look at that homeless guy. And I'm like, that is clearly the Frankenstein monster, you guys. I mean, if you saw a homeless person like this, you would immediately call the cops and say, there's something wrong with this person and he needs help. But instead, this guy is just derided and, made fun of. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I feel like Craig Mullins is going to remember this and love me for bringing this one up.
I see that.
It was super satisfying when I sat down to watch it, because I had a couple of things in mind for this. I wanted to do the Battlestar Galactica web series. I was going to be clever and do that, called Blood and Chrome, and I rewatched that, and that held up really well too. But then, it was great. But then when I found this, looking through researching on a miniseries, I was like, shit, I'm going to try and hunt this down, and watched it all and was really happy I did.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Three pretty good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think that that means next episode is my choice.
Yeah. What are you going to go for?
I've got something cool, because this is something that I want to actually learn a little bit more about. It's it's kind of a null and void area in my horror watching. So I'm going to say, or genre watching, I'm going to pick Atomic Age horror. Ooh. Atomic Age is defined as 1946 to 1959. So, or not Atomic Age horror, Atomic Age sci-fi. So,
Oh, okay. I was like, that's really specific.
Right. So if you were to pick, say, Godzilla, you would be well within your rights to do that, but I would call you out on it. And also, if you were to pick, say, The Day the Earth Stood Still, well within your rights to do that, but I would call you out on it. So
I probably won't choose that one.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's good, but no.
It's fantastic. Fuck, it's amazing, and it's absolutely what I was thinking of when I picked this genre. But fucking everybody has seen that movie because it's so amazing. So, well, cool, guys. Well, this was fun. I hope that our technical difficulties weren't too bad for everybody out there. And, you know, we're learning this as we go along, just like you guys are. Thanks so much to everybody. Again, Danny Williford constantly dropping in and dropping me a line and saying how much he enjoyed, you know, the short episode that came out and stuff like that. Let us know what you guys think of those mini episodes.
Yeah.
And
don't forget, feel free to 5-star review. And it doesn't have to be on iTunes anymore. I found a nice aggregator that will search all podcast review sites that have ratings.
Ooh.
So feel free to leave it on, I think, SoundCloud. Or
What if somebody leaves you a 5-star review on 2 different places? Do they get 2 chances?
2 movies.
Jesus Christ.
Name 2.
Why don't you,
Hey, guys.
just in case this is anybody's first episode, why don't you tell them what that 5-star review
If you go to give us a 5-star review on iTunes, it helps get more people who know about us, hopefully, and see us and get interested in seeing that. And the bonus you get is put a movie in there. And I will watch it and we'll talk about it later on a future podcast episode. So far, I think we've done 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
And you guys have all been really nice, except for maybe Tony. Tony was mean. But actually, it was a hell of a watch. Anyway, so yeah, do that. And we'll talk to you about how amazing or weird or wonderful the movie is.
Yeah, cool.
Amazing.
All right, guys. Thanks to everybody listening. Thanks to you guys for doing this tonight. And we'll be back. Like we said, we're doing these weekly now, so we should be a little more topical. And in between those episodes, we're also doing our mini episodes. So I hope that you guys are enjoying that.
Cool.
We'll see you in a couple of days is all now.
Yeah. Oh, my God. It's true. Yeah.
All right. See ya.
Yeah. Bye.
Our podcast is recorded at Eric's house and Vanessa's house and Kelly's house and is engineered and edited by Eric Morgret. Our theme music is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Eons Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and wherever fine podcasts are found.